It's time for the Wrestling Observer Extra.
I said one more time for old time's sake.
With Dave Meltzer, right here on The Law. Live audio wrestling.
And let's go. We're now smoking with the best.
Welcome back to The Law. Still to come, title about trivia, Jake the Snake, the questions and answers. But we have some questions, and we hope this man has some answers now. He is Dave Meltzer, the editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Now, Dave, there's no Tuesday joke to be made here because the Lesnar USADA violation happened on Friday. But what does this mean for Brock Lesnar?
It's hard to say exactly. Because it depends on, I guess it depends on the drug and the things like that. But it probably, if it's a PED, it's probably the end of his MMA career because first offense PED is 2-year suspension. He'll be 41 at the time. And for WWE, it's like directly, I don't know what it means. But the one thing that because he's under contract for a couple more years. Maybe he'll get a 30-day suspension. I think he will, and they'll time it like with Roman Reigns, where and Brock does so infrequently that 30-day suspension kind of means nothing because he's off for 30 days all the time anyway. But the one thing also with Brock is that the next contract, he's not going to have the leverage that he's had in the last several contracts.
Well, that's very true. Mm-hmm. Before we get further into the WWE side, there is a rumor that is going around online that was posted on a message board in regards to the asthma medication.
Yeah, that's come from nobody credible so far. Okay. So I kind of, and I've asked around of people who, I know people who were close to Brock, and if there was something like that, I think that that would be something that you would want to publicly get out and go, look, this is what it is. Because if it's that, people will just go, okay, it's not that bad. The idea that it's like some, message board person who may be a fraud, mm-hmm. and that their camp themselves or people close to them, no one's hitting around. Even with John Jones, believe me, I got so many hints and from different people about what it was with John Jones, and it was something. It was a PED, but it was an estrogen blocker in theory.
Is that confirmed?
So what?
Is that confirmed now?
No, it's not confirmed. It won't be confirmed until. Either USADA releases it or the Nevada, or he has his hearing. Actually, John Jones has a hearing tomorrow, mm-hmm. so his thing will be confirmed tomorrow. And the Brock thing, whatever it is, will be confirmed when he has his Nevada hearing, because at the hearing, the Nevada's going to talk about the failure.
It seems very strange for the Brock one, Dave, just because, Brock is so motivated by money that I would just think that he would be smart enough that he wouldn't be making a mistake like this or something, because he's just, if he loses his entire purse from that fight, I cannot see him being
he won't lose his entire purse.
But he'll lose a good chunk of it.
He could lose a good chunk of it, yes.
Dave, were you surprised?
Yeah, it could be, he could lose easily into 7 figures, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you surprised, Dave? Because both of us were very surprised when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing, I'm not surprised because anyone can pop at any time in that sense. But with Brock, yeah, and it's funny because if it was anyone else who looked like that at weigh-ins, I would just go, oh man, you know what I mean, or have a big physical transformation. Let alone at 39, the first thing you're going to go is he's going to get popped.
Mm-hmm.
Like Yoel Romero when I saw him in the Jacare fight, and it's like, oh man, this in this day and age, and it's like, and he did, get popped a couple, what it was after the test, but and then and then you're going like, yeah, well, we knew, you know what I mean, but still, yeah, I guess because Brock has always been so big, and because he's been tested, dating back to college, you just don't really think he's going to fail a test, and he was tested with. I guess he was tested with WWE. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that, again, he's part-time, and I don't know how extensively he's been tested since he's been in WWE.
Well, have you been able to register any kind of reaction with WWE, Dave? Because, they pushed it, after he won, they pushed it on the TV quite a bit this week. They really can't be happy the way this is playing out.
No. I'm sure Vince is completely furious now because him and Roman Reigns at the same time, two of the 4 biggest stars, 3 biggest stars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, No, I mean, as far as like, I think that they haven't really said anything. They did that one quote, which was kind of like they had to say something, so they said nothing.
Right.
And I think it's because at the time they didn't know what it was, so you kind of have to wait and review and hear Brock's side of the story, and you don't want to rush to judgment. So I think that's what they're doing, is not rushing to judgment. But again, I don't think SummerSlam is the match at SummerSlam is in any jeopardy, and any because let's just say his next match after SummerSlam would be Royal Rumble. I mean, he can certainly take a suspension in between, or he can take a suspension now. I mean, he's still got they could do the suspension on Monday or Tuesday, and he'd still be ready for SummerSlam anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle him in the draft.
Yeah, that's going to be real interesting, especially because everyone's supposed to be there and he's not going to be there.
Yeah, and you would expect him to
unless
be
that's changed. I mean, they pulled him from the advertising, and then I asked them specifically, and I was told, he's not on the show. And this was before the thing happened with the test, so it doesn't have to do with the test.
Because he is on the list of potential draftees.
Right, and everyone else on that list you figure is going to be there.
Yeah, and you'd expect him to be one of the major picks, really.
You would think he'd be in the first 6 or 7, maybe even higher than that. Yeah,
right. So I'd be curious to see how they handle it when he's not there.
Yeah.
Dave, just to go back to, you said that the SummerSlam match would not be in jeopardy, but if Brock manages a Nevada suspension, do you think that the New York State Athletic Commission will uphold that suspension and relate it to professional wrestling?
Yeah, so here's the situation with New York. I mean, that actually I thought was going to be the case, but in New York, they license promoters and they regulate wrestling, but they don't license wrestlers. So because they don't license wrestlers, they don't have to suspend wrestlers. Now, it would be very bad for WWE to use a suspended guy, but I've just figured that what are they going to do to WWE? Maybe they'll fine him. Probably they won't do anything. But there are states that if he's suspended for 2 years by Nevada, then he would be suspended from 2 years for pro wrestling in those states. I mean, so there are, and I don't know how many there are. It might be 10 or 15, but there will be states that he will not be able to perform in, which is now Florida won't be one of them, which is WrestleMania this year. But New York, they could like I said, they could sanction WWE, but they can't stop him directly from wrestling because they don't because of the nature of how they don't license wrestlers.
Interesting.
As far as the draft goes, moving over to that, tomorrow night we're going to learn of our new GMs. Who do you believe it's going to be?
I don't know. I mean, I think that, Triple H, Daniel Bryan, maybe Eric Bischoff. Those would be the names that pop into my head, but I don't have any advanced warning or knowledge of anything.
No chance of a Heyman?
I don't think so. I can't say no chance, but I don't think so.
Right.
Now, as far as the draft goes, they've put some rules in place, and to me, we're already looking at SmackDown being a secondary product here.
That's exactly what when I read those rules, the first thing that got in my head was they already told you that SmackDown's the B show, and it's like that's exactly what they weren't supposed to tell you. I mean, what do you think in a month? Because after a couple of weeks, what do you think the ratings on Tuesday for SmackDown are going to be, live or not live? I just don't see it. I don't see the ratings being that much higher.
I guess it really depends who's on it and whether the fans are going to connect. Because and plus you got to get past this thing that SmackDown has been just kind of like a review show for so many years. I mean,
but if you're going to have half the talent, and they're pretty much telling you that Raw gets 3 for every 2 SmackDown gets. Raw gets the first pick. I mean, the whole thing is stacked in favor of Raw, and you would think that you would want to make the thing so 50-50 and make them even, and you're really not doing that.
Yeah, it's true.
There are a few exceptions on the list. Despite being mentioned last week, The Undertaker is not listed as far as at a potential draftee tomorrow. Have you caught wind of what's happening with The Undertaker?
I sense that as it was interesting that they mentioned him on Monday. That if he's ever going to work again, that he's going to they'll worry about that when it comes. But he wasn't going to beat the show, and he's not. There's nothing scheduled for him anytime soon. I mean, when he pulled out of the European tour and told everyone he was retired, maybe he was retired.
In regards to NXT, how do you think Nia Jax is going to fare on the main roster, Dave? I mean, it just seems very bizarre that she is coming up. It seems like a mistake that they continually make in bringing people like she'll be the female Baron Corbin, in my opinion.
Well, she's more unique than Baron Corbin, but she's also even earlier than Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin had a few more years of experience. It's too soon. I think she's got potential. Plus, she's different from everyone else, which is important. I think that a big woman like that is something that would be good in that division, just because you don't have one. But you don't want to. She's not ready. So that's where I think that it's a mistake. Yeah,
I mean, it seems obvious in terms of NXT for us that Balor, Joe, Nakamura. Like, I mean, I would think that certainly Joe. I would think it's got to be time for him to get up to the main roster.
All the ones you mentioned should be there. Bobby Roode.
Yeah, sure.
Although he may just have started there, but yeah, You've got to have more star depth on these rosters, and Joe and Nakamura in particular, and Balor. Those three all should be stars on the main roster right now.
Dave, moving over to TNA, actually, this week. We saw the debut of Moose. We've talked about it a bit here on the show. How did you feel Moose came across in his first appearance?
He was there. I mean, it was... I liked the fact they debuted him and they made him look strong, and he confronted Lashley. So they're doing it the right way.
Yeah, at least he's in the top program.
They really tried to give him impact. And the other part is that when they're bringing him in, they're not bringing him in, like sometimes WWE will bring people in and have no idea what to do with them. It's like so that's good. So it's a question is, can he project and hang at that level of a Bobby Lashley? And in Ring of Honor, he never had to be like that. He was never put front and center. There were other guys front and center, and he was more in the middle. So we'll see. It's a gutsy move. That's what I'll say. But I don't know. It's a gutsy move.
How are they paying Moose? It seemed like he signed on to
him like they're paying everyone else. They have that's a weird one. But they're people have put money in, and they've owned percentages of the company, and they're waiting to sell to somebody else, and it hasn't gone through yet, as far as I know. So, they're the same way they're paying Matt Hardy and Drew Galloway and Lashley and everybody else.
So that is kind of the way that right now you have your Billy Corgans and the media company and such all throwing in dollars, and they're looking for the big investor. Is there any progress or new interest in regards to the TNA potential sale?
No, nothing's going to happen for at least another week, because Dixie Carter's on vacation. She went after the TV taping. So we had all thought that it would probably happen at the tapings or before the tapings, and when it didn't, and I was told, now probably wait another 2 weeks before anything is even substantially talked about. So I don't know how much money Billy Corgan put in. Obviously, that the last set of tapings he saved the tapings. I don't know, how much time that buys them, but if it was a panic thing, I guess she could cancel her vacation, which she didn't do.
I guess everyone needs a break once in a while.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Just before we go, Dave, Cruiserweight Classic debuted this week. Your thoughts?
Oh, it was a fun show to watch on TV. The announcing was great. The presentation was different, which was really good. The hour whizzed by. I liked it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yep, generally the sentiment we have as well. Well, that's fantastic, Dave. We're going to take a break, say goodbye for this week, but we'll talk to you again next week when all of the draft is completely sorted out and WWE is fixed.
Yeah. All right, have a great week.
You too. Dave Meltzer, WrestlingObserver.com is where you can find all of his fine work.